"Hold my baby, I'm going to sing," said the homeless little girl when she sang. Everyone cried. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Enjoy the journey. The cold November wind swept through the empty streets as 8-year-old Melody wrapped her thin jacket tighter around herself and baby Tommy. Her small arms ached from carrying her 1-year-old brother for hours, but she never complained. Tommy was all she had left in this world, and she was all he had. "Shh, little brother," she whispered softly as Tommy began to whimper. "Melody's here, everything's going to be okay." Her stomach rumbled loudly, reminding her that neither of them had eaten since yesterday morning when a kind lady at the church had given them some crackers. But it wasn't her own hunger that worried Melody, it was Tommy's. The baby was getting thinner each day, and his cries were becoming weaker. As they walked down the busy street, bright lights caught Melody's attention. A large building with fancy cars parked outside buzzed with activity. Well-dressed people walked in and out, laughing and talking excitedly. Above the entrance, a colorful banner read, "Star Voice Auditions. Tonight only." Melody's heart raced. She remembered how her mama used to sing to her every night before bedtime, teaching her beautiful songs that made all the sadness go away. Maybe, just maybe, if she could sing for these people, they might give her enough money to buy milk for Tommy. Gathering all her courage, Melody approached the entrance where a stern-looking man in a black suit stood with a clipboard. His name tag read, "Marcus, Event Coordinator." "Excuse me, sir," Melody said in her sweet tiny voice. "Could I please sing for you? Just one song? I only need a little bit of money to buy food for my baby brother." Marcus looked down at her with disgust, taking in her dirty, torn clothes and tangled hair. Tommy's soft cries seemed to annoy him further. "Are you kidding me?" Marcus laughed harshly. "This isn't a charity case, kid. This is a professional talent show. We don't accept street kids here." He gestured dismissively with his hand as if shooing away a stray animal. "Go find your parents and stop bothering real artists." Melody's cheeks burned with shame, but she didn't give up. "Please, sir, I can sing really well. My mama taught me. I just need one chance to prove it. Tommy's so hungry, and I don't know what else to do." "Listen, little girl," Marcus said coldly. "I don't care about your soba story. This is a business, not a welfare center." "Security," he called out. Just as Melody felt tears beginning to fill her eyes and started to turn away, a powerful voice cut through the night air. "Let her participate." Melody spun around quickly. A tall man with kind eyes and a warm smile was walking toward them. She recognized him instantly from the posters around the building. It was Daniel Rivers, the famous singer everyone loved, known for his golden heart and incredible talent. Marcus's attitude changed immediately. "Mr. Rivers, I didn't expect to see you here so early. This little girl was just leaving. She's not part of tonight's auditions." Daniel walked closer, his eyes never leaving Melody's face. When he saw Tommy sleeping peacefully in her arms despite the chaos around them, something in his expression softened even more. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Daniel asked gently, kneeling down to Melody's eye level. "Melody," she whispered, surprised that someone so famous was talking to her like she mattered. "And this is my little brother Tommy." Daniel smiled warmly. "Those are beautiful names. And tell me, Melody, why do you want to sing tonight?" Before Melody could answer, a sharp, mocking voice interrupted them. "Daniel, what on earth are you doing?" A stunning woman in an expensive red dress and sparkling jewelry approached them, her high heels clicking on the pavement. Her perfectly styled blonde hair bounced as she walked, and her makeup was flawless. This was Carla Diamond, the famous judge known for her harsh critiques and glamorous lifestyle. Carla Diamond stood before them like a glamorous storm cloud, her emerald eyes scanning Melody from head to toe with obvious disapproval. Her perfectly manicured fingers adjusted her diamond necklace as she waited for Daniel's explanation. "Carla, I'd like you to meet Melody and her little brother Tommy," Daniel said calmly, standing up but keeping his protective stance near the children she wants to audition tonight. Carla's laugh was sharp and cold. "Daniel, surely you're not serious. Look at her. She's just a child, and a homeless one at that. Where are her parents? This is completely inappropriate." "That's exactly why she deserves a chance," Daniel replied firmly. "Every child has dreams, Carla. Every child deserves to be heard." Marcus, the coordinator, seized the opportunity to agree with Carla. "Exactly what I was telling her, Mr. Rivers. We have strict rules about age requirements and proper documentation. She needs a parent or guardian present, proof of residence, and since when do we put barriers between talent and opportunity? Daniel interrupted, his voice carrying a note of steel beneath the kindness. I've seen grown adults with perfect paperwork who couldn't carry a tune to save their lives. Yet, here's a child brave enough to ask for just one chance. Melody listened to the adults debate her fate while Tommy stirred in her arms. She gently rocked him back to sleep, humming a soft lullaby that their mother used to sing. The gentle melody caught Daniel's attention, and he paused mid-sentence. Did you hear that? He whispered to Carla. But Carla was too focused on her argument to notice. Daniel, you're being ridiculously sentimental. This is a professional competition, not a charity event. The audience expects real performers, not some street way of using a baby to gain sympathy. Those words hit Melody like a slap. Her cheeks burned with shame, and she clutched Tommy closer to her chest. She had never used her brother to gain anything. Everything she did was to protect him, to keep him safe and fed. I'm not using Tommy for sympathy, Melody said quietly, her small voice trembling but determined. I'm trying to take care of him because he's my responsibility. I promised I would always protect him. Daniel's heart melted at the sincerity in her voice. See, Carla, this child has more integrity than most adults I know. Integrity doesn't pay the bills or fill concert halls, Carla shot back. She's 8 years old, Daniel. What could she possibly sing about? Hopscotch and playground games. Maybe she could sing about things you've never had to experience, Daniel replied pointedly. Sometimes the most powerful voices come from the most unexpected places. Marcus cleared his throat nervously. Mr. Rivers, I appreciate your compassion, but we really do have regulations. The insurance alone. Then I'll take full responsibility, Daniel declared. If this young lady wants to audition, I'll personally ensure all requirements are met. She can use my address and I'll act as her guardian for the evening. Carla's eyes widened in disbelief. You can't be serious. You're willing to risk your reputation for a complete stranger. A child you met 5 minutes ago. Sometimes 5 minutes is all it takes to recognize something special, Daniel said, smiling down at Melody. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? We give a little girl a chance to chase her dreams. Melody looked up at Daniel with tears of gratitude shimmering in her eyes. No adult had ever stood up for her like this before. No one had ever believed in her without even hearing her sing. If you're so convinced she's talented, Carla said with a cruel smile, then prove it. Let her audition tonight. But I'm warning you, Daniel, when she fails, when she embarrasses herself and this entire production, remember that you're the one who insisted on this. Nonsense. The challenge hung in the air like a sword. Marcus looked between the two famous judges, clearly uncomfortable with the tension, but knowing he had to side with whoever would keep his job safe. All right, Marcus finally said with a heavy sigh. If Mr. Rivers takes full responsibility, then I suppose we can make an exception. But she goes last after all the real contestants. Daniel nodded. That's perfectly fair. Melody's heart soared. She was actually going to get her chance. She looked down at Tommy, who chose that moment to open his bright blue eyes and give her the sweetest baby smile. Did you hear that, Tommy? She whispered. We're going to sing tonight. Maybe we'll finally get you some proper food. But as the group prepared to head inside, Carla leaned close to Daniel and whispered just loud enough for Melody to hear. I hope you're prepared for the humiliation, Daniel, because I'll make sure everyone knows this disaster was your idea. As they walked toward the entrance of the glittering venue, Carla's designer heels clicked menacingly on the marble floor. She couldn't hide her irritation, and her perfectly applied lipstick formed a thin, disapproving line. This is absolutely ridiculous, Carla muttered loud enough for everyone to hear. Daniel, do you realize what you're doing? You're turning this prestigious competition into a circus act. A small crowd of other contestants had gathered near the entrance, drawn by the commotion. They whispered among themselves, pointing at Melody and Tommy. Some looked curious, others seemed annoyed by the delay. Is that really a baby? Asked a teenage contestant with purple hair and sparkly makeup. Why is there a kid here with a baby? Probably some publicity stunt, replied another performer, adjusting his guitar strap. These reality shows will do anything for drama these days. Melody's cheeks burned as she heard their comments. She held Tommy closer, trying to make herself invisible. The baby sensed her tension and began to fuss softly. Daniel noticed Melody's discomfort and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Don't listen to them, sweetheart. Focus on what you came here to do. But Carla wasn't finished. She stepped directly in front of Melody, her towering height made even more intimidating by her stiletto heels. Little girl, Where exactly are your parents? Do they know you're here? Because I find it very hard to believe that any responsible adult would allow a child to wander around at night with a baby. My parents? Melody's voice caught in her throat. She looked down at Tommy, gathering courage from his trusting eyes. My parents aren't here anymore. It's just me and Tommy now. What do you mean they're not here anymore? Carla pressed, her voice sharp with suspicion. Are they at work? Did they drop you off here? Because if you're lying to get sympathy votes, that's fraud, you know. Daniel stepped forward, his jaw tight with anger. Carla, that's enough. She's just a child. Exactly, Carla exclaimed triumphantly. She's a child. Children don't belong in adult competitions. They especially don't belong carrying babies around entertainment venues at night. Someone should call the authorities. A murmur of agreement rippled through some of the gathered contestants. Melody felt panic rising in her chest. What if they took Tommy away from her? What if they separated them? Please, Melody said, her small voice trembling but determined. I'm not lying about anything. I take good care of Tommy. He's my brother, and I love him more than anything in the world. All I want is a chance to sing so I can buy him some food. Her honesty was so pure, so heartbreaking that several people in the crowd fell silent. Even some of the contestants who had been whispering looked ashamed of their earlier comments. Marcus, the high coordinator, checked his expensive watch nervously. Look, we're already running behind schedule. Mr. Rivers, if you're really determined to go through with this, can we at least get moving? The other judges are waiting inside. Of course, Daniel agreed. Melody, are you ready to show everyone what you can do? Melody nodded bravely. But before she could take a step, Carla blocked her path again. Not so fast, Carla said with a cold smile. If we're really going to waste everyone's time with this charade, let's at least make it interesting. I propose we set some conditions. What kind of conditions? Daniel asked suspiciously. Carla's smile grew wider, and there was something almost predatory about it. Simple. She gets one chance, one song, no do-overs, no second attempts. If she fails to impress the judges and the audience, she leaves immediately. No arguments, no begging for another opportunity. That's completely unfair, Daniel protested. Even professional singers sometimes need a second chance to warm up. Those are my terms, Carla said firmly. Take it or leave it. Either she proves herself in one shot or this whole ridiculous experiment ends right now. Melody looked between the two adults arguing about her fate. Tommy had fallen back asleep in her arms, his tiny fingers curled around one of her jacket buttons. She thought about how weak he'd been getting, how his cries had become softer each day. She thought about the promise she'd made to always protect him. I accept, Melody said quietly. Everyone turned to stare at her in surprise. I accept your conditions, she repeated, her voice stronger this time. One song, one chance. That's all I need. Carla raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting such confidence from someone so young. Well then, but don't come crying to me when you realize you're in over your head. Daniel knelt down beside Melody, concern written across his face. Sweetheart, you don't have to agree to this. We can find another way. Melody shook her head determinedly. It's okay, Mr. Daniel. Tommy and I have been through harder things than this. If singing one song can help us, then that's what I'll do. As Marcus finally led them toward the entrance, Carla whispered to Daniel with satisfaction. I hope you're prepared to comfort her when she fails spectacularly, because after tonight, everyone will know that your golden heart led to a complete disaster. The opulent lobby of the Star Voice venue sparkled with crystal chandeliers and golden accents. Melody had never seen anything so beautiful, but she barely noticed the luxury around her. Her focus was entirely on Tommy, who had started to stir restlessly in her arms. Marcus led them through the crowded space, past groups of nervous contestants warming up their voices and adjusting their glamorous outfits. The contrast between Melody's worn clothes and everyone else's designer attire was stark, drawing curious stares and hushed whispers. Right this way, Marcus said, his tone now businesslike but less hostile since Daniel's intervention. We'll need to get some paperwork sorted before. Actually, Marcus, Carla interrupted smoothly, her smile sharp as a blade. I think we should discuss the performance order since this is such a special circumstance. Lest perhaps our young friend here should go first instead of last. Daniel immediately sensed the trap. Carla, what are you doing? I'm being practical, she replied innocently. Think about it. If she goes last and the audience is already tired from a full evening of professional performances, how fair would that be to her? Wouldn't it be kinder to let her perform early when everyone is fresh and excited? Melody looked up at the adults, not understanding the undercurrent of tension, but sensing something important was happening. Tommy chose that moment to let out a small cry, and she automatically began to rock him gently. That's actually not a bad point, Marcus said thoughtfully. The audience energy is usually highest at the beginning of the show. Exactly, Carla agreed, but Daniel could see the calculation in her eyes. She wanted Melody to fail before the audience had time to warm up, before they could connect with her story. However, Carla continued, her voice taking on a deceptively sweet tone, there is one tiny issue we need to address. The insurance policy for tonight's event specifically covers registered contestants only. Since our little friend here is, how should I put this, an unregistered minor, we'd need to modify our coverage. Marcus pulled out his phone, frowning. I'll need to call the insurance company. This could take a while to sort out. Oh, how unfortunate, Carla said with fake sympathy. And we're already running behind schedule. Perhaps it would be easier if I'll cover any insurance issues personally, Daniel interrupted firmly. Whatever forms need to be signed, whatever liability needs to be assumed, I'll handle it. Carla's smile faltered for just a moment before returning full force. Daniel, you're being incredibly generous, but there's still the matter of presentation. Look at her clothes, her appearance. The television cameras will be broadcasting this live. Are you sure you want to put a child in that position? Melody looked down at her faded dress and worn sneakers. She suddenly felt very small and shabby in this glittering world. Maybe Carla was right. Maybe she didn't belong here. I could try to clean up a little, Melody offered quietly. I know I don't look very nice. Daniel's heart broke at the uncertainty in her voice. Melody, you look perfect exactly as you are. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But the audience might not understand, Marcus added hesitantly. They're expecting polished performers. If she goes on stage like this with the baby, it might confuse people, or it might show them something real for a change, Daniel replied pointedly. Carla seized her opportunity. Actually, I have a solution that might work for everyone. What if we gave her a chance to prove herself in a smaller setting first, a sort of pre-audition, if you will? What do you mean? Daniel asked suspiciously. Well, there's a lovely little rehearsal room upstairs. She could sing for just the three of us, me, you, and Marcus. If she truly has talent, it should be obvious, even in an intimate setting. If she does well, then we proceed with the live audition. If not, Carla shrugged elegantly. Well, then we've saved everyone some embarrassment. Melody felt a surge of panic. Something about Carla's suggestion felt wrong, like a trap disguised as kindness. But before she could speak up, Tommy began crying more loudly. His little face was red, and he was clearly hungry. Please, Melody said, her voice breaking slightly. He needs milk. I haven't been able to feed him properly in 2 days. Can I just sing quickly and then take care of him? The desperation in her voice silenced the adults. Even Carla seemed momentarily affected by the raw need in Melody's plea. Marcus checked his watch again. The show starts in 30 minutes. If we're going to do this pre-audition thing, it needs to happen now. Fine, Daniel said reluctantly. But I want it on record that this is highly irregular. Melody, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Melody looked down at Tommy, whose cries were getting weaker, but more desperate. She had come this far, survived so much already. What was one more challenge?